The Color of Death. And I'll just read one page. I'm sorry to cut this short, but it's imperative I take this call. It's about Rachel's case. Thank you again. Give my best to Dom. I stride out of the office, lifting my phone to my ear. This is Colm. No, that's not great. You understand me? Understand what? Irene asks. I wave at Amanda and head into the hall. Once I'm out of earshot, I respond, meet me in my office. We have a lot of work to do. The Color of Death. Have you always wanted to be a fiction writer?
I have had this book in my head for a decade.
Really?
And never had the guts to put pen to paper until Suzanne Scott said you should try.
Really? So
she's the reason I wrote it.
Interesting. And what was the process like?
Well, every time there was a boring speech or my attention would wane, I would kind of write this book in my head. But I'd always written nonfiction, and it is a big jump. Mm-hmm. So I needed a collaborator who was familiar with fiction.
Christopher Grayson.
Christopher Grayson is a phenomenal fiction writer. The only thing I can add is the reality of the courtroom, because I spent so much time in it, and the interaction between cops and prosecutors and victims and prosecutors. Okay. So it was a collaboration. It was a labor of love, as you can kind of tell from the way things were left hanging. I have other books in my head.
Oh, great. So you're like the next John Grisham.
I don't know about that. He's one of a kind, but I for sure...
Have you met him?
Have I met? No, I had a chance to do it at a speaking engagement, and I was not able to make the speaking engagement, but I'd love to. I'd love to meet him. I think we're on different political sides, but the great thing about lawyers is you're going to sit there and talk until you find something in common, and you're not going to argue with each other, and I would love to meet him. He's fabulously talented.
So you talk about the relationship between cops and prosecutors. Are they at loggerheads often? Do they have a natural tension because of their respective professions?
I would say we work with each other, but not for one another. And the reason I want, one of the characters in this book is kind of an amalgamation of the three homicide detectives I work the most closely with.
Okay.
And you become like brothers because you have seen some of the crime scenes, Kennedy, you cannot get out of your head. It doesn't matter how much time passes, you cannot get it out of your head. So your fellow travelers in this awful world of malice and depravity, and it creates a bond. The lead homicide prosecutor I worked the most with, I drove to a law school in Charleston and got on my hands and knees and begged the dean to let him into law school.
Wow.
And he did. And he is now one of the more prominent lawyers in my hometown.
Interesting.
Now, he did not have great grades, and he did not have a great LSAT score, but I knew he could do it. He went when he was 50 years old. He went back to law school, and now he is one of the most sought-after lawyers in my hometown.
And so he's in private practice?
He's in private practice, and I don't really practice a ton of law anymore, but I remember these homicide cops got together and said, we want to meet you. They had a suit. They don't make a ton of money.
Yeah.
They make next to nothing. They'd gone to a tailor, and they pitched in their money and had a suit made for me. And that was their gift to me for being what they thought was a good prosecutor for them. It is a very, very special bond between prosecutors and cops.
And South Carolina, obviously, an interesting state. And so the Alex Murtaugh case, when you first saw that, what did the prosecutor inside of you say?
Well, I knew his father. Okay. His father was the district attorney when I was the district attorney. So we would see each other multiple times a year. Never met Alex Murdaugh. A lot of people, human nature is you would never kill a child.
Of course.
But prosecutors know it happens all the time. Ugh. So my question was, can you prove it? I never doubted that he did it.
Did you think he did it from the get-go?
From the get-go.
Wow. And what was it about the case that made you realize that?
Motive, drug abuse, financial problems, and you are exponentially more likely to be killed by somebody you know and claims to love you than you are by a stranger. Stranger crime is what scares us. I used to tell women who were afraid to walk through the parking lot at Walmart, statistically, you're more in danger once you get home than you are walking through a parking lot at Walmart. I want you to be vigilant no matter where you are. But just understand, the man that is waiting on you at home is more likely to kill you than any stranger you walk past in a parking lot.
That is scary.
It is, but it's also true.
Yeah, and are those the sort of axioms that cops and prosecutors take with themselves, even though, people choose to be naive? Like, we choose to kind of operate with a bubble around ourselves because it would be much harder to go through life knowing what actually lurks beneath the surface of the worst among us.
It ruins your soul, to be honest with you. Our daughter used to drag her pillow and her blanket and sleep beside my side of the bed. Not because I discussed cases at home, but she overheard enough to know that there were awful things in the world. And she knew that her mom would tell her to go get back in her bed, but she knew her dad would not.
Yeah.
So for, I'd say, 2 years, that child slept on the floor beside her father because of what I chose to do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
She now happens to be in the criminal justice system herself.
Really?
So, yeah, she turned out great. She is a public defender.
That's incredible. In South Carolina?
In South Carolina, in the same courthouse, although they redid it, that her old man used to work in. So both my kids went to law school. One gravitated towards criminal, and the other has no interest in criminal or practicing law. He does real estate. But it extracts a toll, not unlike Calm Truesdale. I mean, some people, it makes them go closer to their faith. Mm-hmm. Some people, it makes them just say, God, how can you possibly let this happen? And there are no answers. Susan Smith, that case will haunt me for the rest of my life, and it didn't even happen in my jurisdiction. It doesn't matter how often you see it, Kennedy. You never get used to kids being killed.
Yeah.
You just never get used to it.
No, it is the greatest injustice that we see as human beings.
Yes.
And it's hard to reconcile. It's hard to let go of. And, for a lot of people, that's why they can't engage with the criminal justice system professionally like you have. Do you find the work that you're doing now satisfying, or do you miss that side of it? Is there an element of it that's almost addictive that you find you miss?
It is addictive. And I warn kids in law school now, when it gets in your blood, you will not get it out. I did not run for Congress. I ran to get out of the courtroom. Okay. I was looking for an honorable way out because there was a Mother's Day, 2009, where my wife and my mom, who are the two biggest influences in my life, both sat me down and said, you have got to go do something else.
Were they worried for your safety?
No, they were worried for my soul.
Okay.
I had become hopelessly cynical. I mean, they're both devoutly spiritual. And I don't mean like fake. I mean, it is the epicenter of their lives.
Yeah.
And I was becoming just increasingly cynical because I just don't understand how an omnipotent God can allow that to happen. So, my wife kind of sat there more quietly because moms have a way of talking to their sons that nobody else can do. And they just said, you need to go do something else. So it's either run for AG. I had a friend who wanted to be the AG, and I value friendship, so I'm not going to do that. I had no interest in being in Congress. It was just the path of least resistance.